everyone, this is Lori Smith on Spreaker here. Glad to be here. Haven't done a show for a while, and just glad to be back. I like to do shows speaking out against child abuse, taking a stand against child abuse, and usually have to do them when I can fit them in. I do a lot of shows on Blog Talk Radio as well, and like everybody else, just pretty busy. But it's really important that we all take a stand and that we all work to stop and prevent child abuse, and it's not just up to a certain few individuals. I used to think that, even growing up abused and everything, I didn't consider the fact that I should get involved and try to stop child abuse until I became a much older adult. Even though I hated it, I hated what happened to me, I hated what happened to a lot of my friends, and I hated what I was seeing in the newspaper, the articles and what I saw on TV, the television reporters talking about certain cases in the news, children, any number of children dying at any given time or ending up in the hospital due to abuse and abuse-related injuries. And growing up the way that I did, of course, it always was in the back of my mind that, I was very thankful that there were people out there that were doing something, anything to help stop child abuse. But I never thought that I would get involved. It just didn't seem like something that I could do, I didn't even think that I'd be able to make a difference or to be part of the change. And it's important that people realize, like, child abuse, it doesn't, maybe it doesn't affect your family or it doesn't affect, anybody that you know, but that doesn't mean that it's not happening. And just because right now I have a great life, I'm not being abused anymore, that's wonderful. I have a really decent life, and as an adult, away from the abuse so many years, and working through my healing journey for so many years now, and I have people in my life that care about me, but that doesn't mean that I forget about the fact that this stuff happens and this stuff is going on. And it doesn't mean that I forget about what happened to me. I'm not, and I never could be really in denial. I mean, I used to go for periods of time in my life where I could actually not think about it too much just because I was busy or just not thinking about it. A lot of times I was using drugs when I was younger, and that certainly helped, keep that sort of thing away. Actually dealing with it, but for so many people, they just feel like, wow, it's not my problem, right? I don't have any children, or I don't even know anybody that's been abused, and I wasn't abused, and it is all of our problem, because we ultimately pay for it regardless of whether or not we believe we do. All of us eventually end up paying some way and somehow, and generally it's through the taxes. Your taxes go to cover multi-trillion-dollar programs to help children who have been abused, and they are in effect inadequate because there's so many children being abused all the time. They can't keep up with the numbers, and they can't keep up with the to provide the services that they need, and there's no way to possibly even begin to make to solve this in any way quickly. So it does affect us all. And not only that, but we're dealing with the tragic situation, which most people don't, I know a lot of people that don't really care about this sort of thing, and they don't really care about other people, I mean, it's a general lack of care. And I think for me, what it means, I guess, probably why I am the way that I am, is because I was abused, and I watched so many members of my family, all of us actually, but the ones that I was cognitive and old enough to remember being in the house, because I'm the last of 7 children. 2 of my older siblings moved out before I was born, right, like the year before I was born. And the 5 of us in the home, when I became cognitive enough to realize what was going on, I just witnessed just so much human suffering and human despair, and the wretchedness of domestic violence and family violence and abuse of all types. of all kinds. And so for me to say that I don't care about people is impossible, because that would mean that I didn't care about my family or anybody for that matter. And that's not true at all. I cared about my family and I cared about my friends. A lot of my friends grew up in abusive homes, different types of abusive homes with step-parents abusing them and grandparents and sometimes they're real parents, and unbelievable. And people think that this stuff doesn't happen, and even when it does, they think, oh well, why would this be my issue? Why would this be my problem? And that's really, to me, it's kind of a cop-out. It's kind of pathetic, because if somebody would have abused you, you would think that you would have appreciated that somebody would have cared and that somebody would do something. And I think a lot of times people become hard-hearted because maybe they were abused and they didn't get any help, and I didn't get any help. So, you know, it's not coming from that. It's not a selfishness like, well, I didn't get any help, so screw everybody else. And that's how my mother was. Now my mother took on that attitude, but my mother was abused as well, and then she was abused as a child, then she was abused in her marriage, and then she was my main abuser. So, but that was her attitude, was, hey, I got it, you're going to get it, and you're going to just have to learn to live with it, like me. And so I can't be like that. I refuse to be like my abuser parents, and I refuse to be like these other people out here who abuse children and get off on it or think that it's great that they should be allowed to do these things, even though it's illegal. Hello folks, child abuse is against the law and punishable by the law, and convicted and found guilty, you will do time. And you know, I'm so thankful for the law. I really am. I wish that something would have been done with my parents, and I wish that they would have got the help that they needed, and you know, even with an intervention done, there was nothing much done. And I like to think that had they gotten the proper care and the proper help, and that we had been removed from the home until they could really sort their issues out and then come back together and be a real family, would have been amazing, would have been awesome. Instead of that, my family was destroyed. You know, it was absolutely destroyed. And so yeah, so why is this not all of our issue? No, it is. It's all of our issue. And I just feel like I can't be the type of person, even though there's lots of people out here like that in the world, who would walk by and watch somebody on the street who needed help, and just walk past them and be like, oh well, not my problem. Because you better hope that it's not you on the street needing help. Maybe you're dying, maybe you just can't get enough air, you know, maybe you're elderly, fallen and broken your back or something, and you can't get up, and you're going to die there, and you better hope and pray really that the next person walking by isn't going to say that, well, it's not my problem. You know, I mean, my shows are geared for adults, and so I seriously doubt that there would be any children listening to my shows, and if they are, then they need to listen at their own discretion. But it's a serious issue, you know. Like, most people who haven't been abused as children would never be able to put themselves into an abused child's shoes, and they wouldn't understand what that's like. You know, everybody understands hurt and pain, and everybody understands certain amount of childhood issues that, you know, maybe they didn't get what they needed, maybe they didn't get what they wanted completely out of their childhood. Because I mean, that's pretty common with everybody. We've all experienced hurts and wounds and disappointments in our childhood that, you know, we know what it's like to hurt and to be hurt and to suffer, right? We all do. And so, but still, there's just that little other element of being abused, you know, where a person who hasn't been abused may not really fully understand the magnitude of the damage done to the whole psyche of a child who's been abused. And then it's real easy to say, oh well, not my problem, you know, why should I have to deal with it? I kind of really wish there was reincarnation, because I really wish that all those people that would ever say that would have to come back and be abused as a child, so that they could see just what it's like to have a whole bunch of other people say, oh well, not my problem. That to me, that'd be great. I don't believe in reincarnation, but I really, that's one of my sincere wishes. Because I think everybody who can personally sit there and say, oh, well, not my problem, should have to come back and be whatever it is that they are being so hard-hearted and cold-hearted against. It is our problem. How do we help? How do we deal with this? How do we make a difference? How do we stop this? You know, it's a question that just plagues our society because no one can really wrap their finger around it because there's not enough resources, there's not enough money, there's not enough. You can't even put enough money on this thing. There's trillions of dollars floating around on it right now, and it isn't doing any good because children are still ending up abused. They're still ending up dead in the morgue, and they're still ending up in the hospitals due to the abuse that they're suffering. And then when they're removed from their homes, half of the time they're still being abused again in some sort of outside care, foster care, extended families, you know. I mean, you name it, man. The situation is bad for these kids. And I like to be a voice for them because, you know why? Because I have a voice, and my parents didn't kill my voice, and they couldn't kill me, and neither could my abuser brother. So there you go. I have a voice. I can make a stand. I can stand up, and I can say, you know what? Child abuse is wrong, and it's got to stop. You know, now, I don't have children because I was raped as a child, and I can't have children. I didn't adopt because I wasn't really in the right frame of mind to be bringing a child up in the world. Because I knew that I had so many issues, so many problems I needed to work through as a young adult, even as an older adult, that for me, I chose not to do that. But I couldn't carry a child because I was raped as a child. How do you like that? Walk around with that walk around in those shoes for a little while. It's not an easy place to come from. But you know what? That's what a few years back when I started doing this and started really becoming vocal about the issues of child abuse, I realized, like, yeah, they didn't kill me. They couldn't kill me. They couldn't even kill my spirit. They tried. I thought they did, actually, when I was younger. When I was 10 years old, I thought I was dead spiritually because I really felt dead. And I was just wanting to be dead. I was hoping that they would kill me. I'd be like, yeah, go ahead and kill me. I don't care. You know, get me out of my misery, please. And then later in my adult life, as a young adult, doing drugs and ending up in drug deals gone bad, guns to my head and stuff, I'd be like, go ahead, pull the trigger, because I'm dead anyway. You do me a favor, man. And you know, now I look back on it as an older adult, and I'm like, you know, I'm so thankful. I am so thankful to be here, because I know that there's these children out here who are going to die tonight, probably age 3 to 6 months old, 4 years old, 7 years old, 12 years old, even 16, 17 years old, who would really like to be in my shoes at this age, being able to look back and say, you know what, I'm so glad that I made it, and you know that I wasn't killed, and that I can be a voice, and I can do something positive, and something that has meaning, and something that has purpose, and also have my own personal life as well that means a great deal to me. There's so many people. I used to wish for death, and now I'm so thankful that I'm able to be here to be a voice for all those children out there who died and who have been killed and murdered at the hands of a really sick individual abuser, whoever it was. You know, I'm thankful. I'm so thankful. And so we all need to get involved. This all really does matter, and it really does. It does count. And we can't all give money, you know. Like, I know I don't have any money to give. Not everybody's got a bunch of money just to throw into this thing, and money's not the answer anyway. Because even when they do remove these children and put them in other situations, the children are half the time abused wherever they're going again anyway. It really comes down to education. And the only way that we're going to do that is to change the way that our schools and that our local governments and that our national governments feel about abuse education in schools. We're going to have to start with the young people. Really, I mean, we're talking kindergarten on up, because kids are not learning this in the home. Hey, what was I learning at home? I was learning about fear. I was learning about abuse. I was learning about physical beatings, physical violence, verbal assaults, verbal abuse, emotional, psychological abuse, sexual abuse. I mean, my dad raped my mother in front of me, and then let's see, how many years later? 2 years later, my brother raped me. Right. And so rape was a huge problem in our family, and you know, incest. We're talking, right? So this is horrific, right? What was I learning at home? Parents aren't always going to teach their children to do the right thing. Parents aren't always going to educate their children. See, my parents educated us in the fact that, well, if you can stay alive and survive, well, then there you go. Because their big thing was that they should kill us, and that we should die and we never should have been born, right? So that was their big message to us, and that if we could survive, well, then the tough get tougher, and what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. That was my mom's favorite thing to say after she would beat the shit out of me. And I hate that saying to this day. I really do, because I'd like to take that saying and pound her with it. She's dead, right? But the thing is I can't believe that a person could be that sick and that twisted to do that to their children. But hey, it happened to me. So there you go. There are some very ill, sick, twisted people out there who have children. My parents were two of them. And they warped my brother, and he in turn sexually abused me for a year. So there you go. So what can you do with that, right? You can turn it into something positive is what you can do. And speak out against this stuff. I know that so many people don't want to know my story, and as long as I don't talk about abuse, well, I'm fine. As long as I'm just the person who's talking about the weather and what kind of coffee I like to drink, and normal things. Yeah, that's fine. Great, have Lori around. Otherwise, no, we don't want to hear about it, because people don't want to hear about this stuff, because this is really, really bad news. Well, you know what? It's really bad news for these kids out here right now who are being beaten and tortured. It's really bad news for these kids out here right now, right this minute, who are being sexually abused, trafficked, abused in every way. It's really bad for these little kids out here who are being verbally assaulted, which will kill them in the end. Physically, it may not kill them, but it will kill them, right? And emotionally scarred, emotionally wounded. There's all kinds of really twisted people having children and bringing them up. And without the proper education to educate the kids that are in the school systems right now in North America, I don't know what we can do about the world situation, but man, let's just get started here in North America. Without that, without some intervention, without some education with these young kids, they're going to continue the cycle on. They're just going to pass it right on. And that is disturbing to me. So we need to do something about this. Education really is, as far as I really have a lot of, I don't know, I've done a lot of research and looking into it. And it just seems like education really is the way to go. That's why I keep saying it. Because they've done studies and they found, that certain school districts get a higher percentage of education regarding healthy parent-child relationships. I mean, by the time they graduate, they have a good idea of what abuse is and what not to do to their children. And sure, there's still going to be some of these young people who go out there and end up, whether they have children right away or later, who go on to abuse their children. But we could probably stop a lot of it if we really provided the necessary information for people who are just going to go out and start families and have children. And I think this is a real sick society. I mean, if you take a look around, see, most people are okay with it because they're sick too, right? Anybody who would think that this is okay, there's got to be something wrong with them. It's not okay. And so who's going to protect these children? Who's going to stand up and protect these children? It's not going to be their abusive families, I tell you that. And it's not going to be possibly the neighbor next door, because the neighbor personally likes those people, likes the parents, whoever they are, these abuser people. People don't have relationships with other people's children. They have relationships with the children's family and parents. So half the time there's nothing done. There's no one stepping in saying, look, you need to get some help. Look what you're doing to your children or your child or whatever. And most people just don't want to get involved. It's just, oh, I don't want to get involved. What if they remove them from the home? And what if there was really no abuse? And it just seemed that way. I could be removing a child from a perfectly good home. Chances are I doubt it, because they don't even remove children from bad homes. They didn't remove us from our home, and look what happened to us. They don't remove children from even from bad homes. So there you go. It's a good idea to have somebody breathing down the neck of those parents just in case they are. because then they will know that they need to watch what they're doing with their children. Because if somebody makes a call to the police and reports it as a crime, as a possible crime against a child, then those people will have to realize, whoa, we're being watched, and we're going to have to watch what we're doing with our children. And you can save a child's life. It's as simple as that. Children are dying. And that's sad. And I don't just feel bad about those children that are dying. I feel bad for all those children out there who tonight will be laying in their cribs or laying in their bedroom somewhere, half beaten to death or half sexually, killed by sexual abuse, and there won't be any help for them, right? Those are the kids that I feel sorry for, because there's no help for them. And this is all wrong, and we really need to stop it. They need tougher laws. We need tougher penalties. I wish I had the time to go back and redo this thing, but of course we never do. But if I did, I'd come back as a big time prosecutor, and I'd prosecute to the fullest extent, or a judge or something, because I'd come back and I'd really just really sock it to abusers, because they really deserve it. My youth was stolen. My life was really stolen from me. My parents would think, oh, how dare you, we gave you life, we brought you into this world, you rotten little, whatever. But what they don't realize is that they killed me the minute they brought me into the world, with their hatred and their violence and their disgusting sexual abuse towards each other, and my dad's disgusting sexual weirdness towards his sons, and it just bizarre. I mean, no, they destroyed our family. And they didn't have to pay for it at all. They just walked away. Yeah, well, I mean, my mother's passed away many years ago now, and I mean, she was a victim, but she also was my main abuser. And my dad, I mean, he's nearly dead, and what are you gonna do? And they walked away. And people thought, oh, look at those two nice old people, right? Yeah, that's why I said, I said, no, they're not gonna, I'm not going to go to my grave and allow what happened here to go unspoken. No more behind the closed doors, no more hiding, no more keeping it a secret. This is absolutely unacceptable. And there are people today that would sit there and say, well, your mother was so nice, she used to make cookies. And I'd be like, yeah, sure, okay, she made cookies. She made lots of cookies, and she gave all the cookies out to the kids and everything. And then she would beat me with a rolling pin, break my head open, bust my skull open, spit in my face, call me whore, call me names, throw me out of the house, slap me around. I lived in fear because of her. I couldn't even open my mouth. I'd be slapped in the face. No, I lived in horrible fear from that woman. And not only that, but we all kind of did, because my mother was a tirade, right? But the thing is, how could they sit there? They don't even recognize or even acknowledge the fact that my mother was an abusive tirade of a woman. Why? Because my mom made cookies and she liked to play cards. So all the neighbors loved her. Oh yeah, they had lots of friends. My dad had lots of friends too in the church. He was just this great, oh, he's such a good man. Right. Sure, till you see what he does to his sons when he gets home from church, and his wife, and his daughters. Yeah, he's real nice, and I thought, there is no way that I'm letting this go, because before I die, the world's going to know what happens to children who are left in an abusive home, because I wanted people to know, like my sister never ever really had a great life. My oldest sister, my dad abused her too. Ripped her clothes off out in the middle of the street in front of her friends when she was like 14, 15 years old or something like that. Ripped her bra off, called her a whore, beat her up. He was a horrible man. And my sister, she never ever really had a good life, and she didn't love her kids either. My mom just taught us all how to hate. So did my dad, but my mother was mainly responsible for that. And so, we were taught how to hate. How to hate ourselves, how to hate this life, how to hate other people. And my sister never really ever could figure it out. She never really had a good life. And so, yeah, I blame my parents for that. I really do. And two of my brothers killed themselves. One committed suicide. He was my one of my abusers. He sexually abused me for about a year when I was 8. He was 13 years older. He was a 21-year-old man. And my mother knew about it. I told her, but she did nothing about it. And so, he killed himself, but I still, I blame my parents for all of that. And even though he was a 21-year-old man, he was warped in his head from the abuse and the just sheer abuse from my dad, mainly, and drug abuse. So he was twisted. He was just warped. And my other brother killed himself many years later, drug overdose, but he was always overdosing and he was always trying to kill himself. And I blame my parents for that. Yeah. That was my parents' fault. And my other sister just lives in her own head, lives in her own weird little world, and she's messed. And she's a brilliant person, and she's lovely, but she's just screwed. Can't even have a decent, normal conversation with her because she's just so weird. And, what do you do with that? I blame my parents for all of that. And it's tough. It really is. How many children are going to go through and have to deal with that? Like, before we all say, you know what, yeah, no, we do care, and this is wrong. And yet, what are we going to do to try to change this mess? What are we going to do to help these kids? We have to take a stand. We have to speak out. Do whatever you can. Get involved with groups. Make noise. Volunteer. A little bit of time, once a month. Like, once a month, like maybe an hour or two someplace. Whatever it is you can do, because I know there's a lot of people already out there doing stuff, which is great. But if you aren't, get on board and do something, because you know what? These kids don't deserve this, man. They don't deserve this. And I figured, man, if I was just allowed to live because I was willing to open my voice and speak out against child abuse, and this was God's will for me, you know what? Then I'm going to do it. Because, I only have so much time left, right? And so, I'm just trying to push everybody into the reality of, what this is, what it means. And it's got to stop. If child abuse doesn't kill a child, it'll kill him anyway. And the issue is I know so many people who didn't make it. And you know what? I'm so glad that I made it. But you know what? There's so many kids tonight who won't make it. So take a stand. Do the right thing. And get involved. Take care, everybody. Here's a song by Zanza, Flying Away. That's the name of it, and it's a great tune, so I'll put that on to end the show. Thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. Thanks for listening to me go on, and this is something I care very much about. I hope you will get involved, right? Take care.
I'm running away, trying to find a better day. Don't know what to say, I just think of yesterday. Get away, I wish I could fly. I get the birds are getting high. I'm ready to die, if only I could touch the sky. I'm dreaming away